Hey, Warrior Saints. Happy Thursday. Glad to have you beautiful people in with us. Today, we were having our divine liturgy for the feast of Saint Patapios, who is not a very well-known saint, but is a wonderful saint nonetheless. And the epistle reading for today hit me in light of what Father Chris was talking about yesterday. Yesterday, Father Chris was talking about the armor of God and whether we want to be offensive or defensive, and how do we take on that offensive sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. And if you want to learn more about the armor of God, make sure you visit us at warriorsaints.org, subscribe to our Way of the Warrior Saint, and go in there and you will see our entire Armor of God series that goes piece by piece, talking about how we can implement actual practical teachings into our lives about all of those different battlements and armor pieces that the armor of God section in Ephesians is talking about. But when we're being offensive, we have to keep in mind leadership and the important role that leadership has in our lives and our high calling to that leadership. If we're going to be offensive, we have to be leaders about how we're doing that. The leader of the army is the one who goes first into battle. Unless he's not really a good leader, then he's hiding behind everyone else. There's great imagery of in movies like and TV shows like Game of Thrones, where you have leaders that are hiding behind women and children and hiding behind their big castles and all of this stuff, rather than being the ones who forge ahead, who lead their armies into battle. And St. Paul's epistle from this morning talks about who the leader needs to be and how the leader needs to be focused. And I kind of want to look at that today, because we're all in our lives striving to be the best leaders that we can be. Right? Because leadership doesn't just mean I'm a boss. It doesn't just mean I'm a king. It doesn't just mean this. It means that I am someone who is following Christ's commandments. I am someone who is striving to be the best that I can be. And in so doing, St. Paul teaches us in his letter to Timothy a little bit about what that looks like. And I want to highlight that today. He begins in chapter 3, verse 2, talking about the bishop, who are the leaders of the church. Now, a bishop must be above reproach. And he goes on to talk about what that means. And for you and I, we have to remember, first and foremost, we have to be above reproach. We have to be men and women who have integrity, men and women who are working hard, who are diligent, who are doing the things that warrior saints are called to do. And we're focused on that. We're relentless in the pursuit of that. That's why we always talk about, let's go out and get some. We are relentless in our pursuit in all things, above all, staying above reproach. He goes on to say in verses 4 and 5, he must manage his own household. For if a man does not know how to manage his own household, how can he care for God's church? For us as leaders who are striving to figure out what that means, how to be the one that's leading the armies into battle, we have to understand that we have to get our own house in order. And we have to first and foremost get our own house in order. And that begins with you and I doing, as he says, being relentless in our pursuit of being above reproach, as St. Paul says, and keeping our household in order. Now, I asked the question in the description, are we managing our own household, or are we just worried about keeping up with the Joneses? Are we just worried about looking at what other people have and looking at what other people doing and are chasing that and are chasing what they have and the trappings of what we think success in a worldly sense looks like, so that we can get better and better? Are we worried about what brands are on our clothes? Are we worried about what cars we're driving? Or are we worried about staying above reproach and keeping our house in order? In essence, are we worried about living the life the way that Adam shows us, or living life the way that Christ shows us? When we choose keeping up with the Joneses, we're living that life that Adam has chosen. We're not choosing Christ. We are called to choose Christ, to be above reproach, and to keep our house in order. Now, tomorrow, we're going to look more on what does that actually look like. What does it actually look like to manage our household and keep our household in order? What are the actual attributes that a house that is in order has? And in the meantime, as we're getting ready for that, just do us the favor. visit warriorsaints.org. Sign up for the Way of the Warrior Saint. Check out that Armor of God series. Check out our series on leadership as you and I are all striving to become better leaders. Visit us, get on the way, check out all this stuff, and until we see you tomorrow, you keep walking on the way of the Warrior Saint.